For about every week last year, I've been working on this game. Even if it was pretty much just changing around something that I did before and ending up back at square one. Today I'm going to show you everything that I've gotten. And then I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to this game. I don't know either. This is just the title screen. It's kind of basic. Instead of being able to skip through a button input, you'd have to skip through these two options in the beginning, which honestly isn't that bad. I've seen other RPG games do this, but I've already showed you this in one of the last videos, so we're going to be skipping it. What you saw earlier was the first mistake. You weren't supposed to see the lights going by. That's a simple fix, and that's not really that big of a problem. When I was building the demo, this was the second basic room you would start in. You'd have your basic save, a shop that you can't buy anything in, and a few things that you can interact with. On each character, you can see a weakness and a resistance on one of them. Basically, everybody is weak to certain attacks, and once these certain attacks hit them, they will be put into a break state, and either they are affected by a certain ailment, or their attack or defense would lower. I've changed this system around many times, but I just settled for this kind of basic element system that I feel like could be worked in better, because you have no other reason to use any other attack except for the elemental ones that everyone is weak to, because it gets everything done faster. I'll get more into that later, though. Like, most of the stats in the game are currently super unbalanced. I was basically just moving around numbers to see how they worked and what they would do. Most of the stats and the weapons don't mean that much, and as much experience as I have playing RPGs, it is hard for me to wrap my head around, like, stats. So I'll have to get more experience with that eventually. Also, not that it really matters at this point, but there's not that many weapons. It's fine, honestly. Also, if you notice, there's a round window that was originally supposed to be changed. I've changed that thing like 3 times. Most of the time it would never fit the aesthetic that the game was going for. Oh, and that too. The character portraits overlap the level value. Ah, yes, the closet doesn't feel like opening. Like I was talking about, this was the shop that you can't currently buy anything in because you haven't committed any murders. Now, the whole point of this place is that you'd be seeing it a lot, and it would be used for saving your game and overall trying to recuperate before you go back out into the dungeon. In this room, there are 3 desks you can interact with. One of them tells you a very bad joke, one of them gives you a drink, which will heal you for a lot, and one of them throws 2 enemies at you. Now, at this moment, we will not be confronting the 2 enemies. We'll just be taking everything out of the room, and we'll be confronting the others out in the front, which were originally supposed to chase you. In the hall, all of the enemies are 2 foolish prisoners and 1 lying prisoner. The lying prisoner debuffs your party and buffs everyone else, and the foolish prisoners, at some point they used fire. I think they just hate now. Also, you can hear I have not changed the music here, although I think the music here has only been shown once and not in-game. The animations that you see are not original. They were brought from the engine. They were placeholders, seeing as most of the attacks don't match up with the animation like Gust. So as you can see, the battle system is pretty basic, consisting of, like I said before, mostly weaknesses and elemental attacks. While there's nothing entirely wrong with it, you don't really want to do anything else because you're mostly relying on the elements, and you hardly ever want to touch the physical moves. I've thought of more intriguing sorts of things that I could do. I won't be stating them here, but I'm not sure how I'd implement them, and I'm not sure how I would make the game much more interesting. I just realized that I haven't used Sydney's skill, Guard Break, this entire time. In the future, I want to make the moves like Guard Break and Cure cost a different meter that works like a special meter, instead of just a whole lot of MP, which is not really that much MP. Most of these battles drag on for like a while until we get to this point where everybody starts dropping like flies. And I mean like everybody. Overall, most of the battles are extremely costly and grueling. Like, sometimes they don't end up like this, and sometimes a character is half dead. And I'm pretty sure this is going to make the player want to avoid fighting like 75% of the time. Not that it doesn't matter, but I haven't changed every sound effect in the game. And also, this is my first fight, and I've already leveled every character up. As you can see, basically the way the game was set up, the values are so freaking messed up that you'd basically be trying to heal yourself after every fight, which is not what I want anyone to do. Now that we've sort of healed up, we're going to go confront the third desk that we have not checked out. Now this fight isn't too grueling or problematic. The British prisoners aren't that much of a problem. They just swing and decrease your defense. Before, they used to charge up 3 times and then swing, which would nearly eliminate a party member. Which was a bit too much, seeing as they were only supposed to be an obstacle, but not exactly impossible to fight, even with that handicap of they can charge up 3 times and absolutely annihilate you, they weren't too hard because one of the main characters had the same exact move. Honestly, I feel like I've been going in circles with ideas in this game. I've never really known where to start, and I kinda just did start, and I got somewhere, and that's not bad at all. However, my problem comes in where I feel like I haven't made any progress at all, even though there's so much here. Even though there's a lot that I can change and fix, it doesn't seem impossible at all. Oh, and by the way, Cure doesn't get rid of debuffs. That's why she used Cure, and the defense down didn't go away. You were stuck with that as long as you hit. Also, the, Sly prisoners, I think, used to have an ability that would poison you, and poison stays with you until you cure it. It does not go away over time. Like I said before, these guys are kind of pushovers. There's no real need to worry about them anymore, seeing as they can't knock you down in like 2 hits together. Then again, if it was only one of them and they had this charge attack that would knock you down instantly, then it wouldn't be that much of a problem. Honestly, I know I said before that physical attacks are kinda useless, but Crowd Blender is only the only useful one because it hits everything. Because I was kind of getting used to how to work the AI, almost all the time they'll just swing with heavy swing or this debuff attack, and it'll almost hit everyone on the party all the time. It's kind of annoying. As you can see, it's been a few minutes and everyone's SP is pretty low already. And now that he's the only one left, this is the part where everybody just wails on him, and then he freaking dies. Not much to it. Oh, and by the way, Gabriel can't hit anything with a normal attack. Everyone has made it out alive, but their SP has not made it out at all. Why did I check that again? Anyway, we're going to be moving on to a different section of the small parts they prepared. These lockers, you'd have no idea to check them, honestly. Other than they look weird, let me go touch them. This was one of the rooms where I wanted to do some weird stuff with the tools that I had at hand. And the thing is, if I want to put some sort of map feature in the game, It's going to be kind of weird unless I do it, like, in separate blocks on the map, and it would just glow to let you know where you are. Other than that, it would kind of mess up reality and how the map works, because it would have to break itself in order to work, if you catch my drift. Anyway, yeah, there's just items everywhere. You can check any desk and you get anything. We are now back in the main room. There are 4 things hidden here that I will get into later that I did not currently record in this clip. Basically, this is the same bed that you save at and everything. You can also rest there and recover your HP and SP. This is a different way of typing the dialogue boxes and loading the character sprites. I thought it would be much more interesting than it was before, and honestly, it is. And there's a slight inconsistency there. I checked the closet there, but it would send me to the dev room where I'd be stuck there forever. This text box goes off of the box, so I'd have to change that eventually as well, if I ever, get to it. This is supposed to be a bathroom, there are no sprites there, this is empty. There's a door down the hall, that's supposed to be a closet, it does not open. I think I've shown this room off before. This top part being the living room, it should be much junkier. This bottom part being the kitchen, it doesn't have as much stuff as it should in it, and that part being the basement, which currently has no collision, so you can kind of just walk through it. And that bottom part, it teleports you back to the prison. The upstairs part here will lead you to a place called the Hollows. You will see what it looks like for itself. It's not much. It was going to be a place full of puzzles, and I intended it to be somewhat extremely stressful. That's not how words work. Anyway, there's this simple puzzle here that you can control by pressing Z around these pillars, and it moves the pillar in the top part. So you move the pillar down to the bottom where the Z block is, then you press Z, and then you move up to the top. Thing is, with this, you can press it multiple times. It does not close off. It doesn't really matter. Nobody was supposed to see this. And the fact that you can do 2 moves at once with the buttons if you're fast enough, which honestly you're not supposed to do. It can be fixed with a simple command, but I don't know if I want to change that. The place that button teleported us to is a room full of doors, which was originally going to be the fast travel. This was going to be scrapped because they eventually thought of it being linear, as you clear, in a way, you clear elaborate dungeons, and then you just go to the next part over and over again. But then I've been thinking of other structures, as in, like, you only get to the dungeons after a certain amount of days go by, or after you experience a certain amount of events. Right now, we are very close to the end of the video. I am going to talk about how I felt towards this game and what's going to happen now. This game has been many different things. Originally, it was supposed to be a short game about a different world and these two friends. Then it changed into something totally different entirely again during the pandemic. Eventually, the game morphed into something much more personal. It would be focusing on problems that I had in my life and experienced over time through this character. That looks nothing like me. That's besides the point. The point is that this project gave me some sort of sense of purpose, and it made me feel really happy to work on, even though it was hard to keep up sometimes, especially with everything that's been going on. I feel like I've been super scattered brained during this entire video, although I feel like I've gotten my point across, I guess. I want to thank everyone who has followed this project, even though it's not what they've probably been thinking of. Maybe they're not even satisfied at all. Even if you just followed it, or at least thought of it, or looked at it, thank you. So, what's going to happen is I'm not going to be working on this project for a while. There's been a lot of stuff on my plate, and I feel like if I shelve this for a while and come back to it a long time after, it's going to be much better than it was before. I'm never going to forget about this thing. It's helped me work through a whole lot of stuff. Basically, I'm going to work on other things instead of this. I'm just not going to touch this for a while. Once again, I want to thank everyone for sticking with me on this, and all my friends for supporting me on this project. Like I said before, I'm definitely not going to be abandoning this. I think I just need a very long time away from it and some time to understand myself. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Please tell me what you think of everything that you saw and how it's affected how you view the game or whatever. Just criticize me. I have nothing left. Thank you guys, and I will be seeing you later.